many of you have gone to Siesta Key Public Beach to attend their events, the fireworks, volleyball, and all those other wonderful events? A few of you. If you haven't, it is fantastic. And the reason why they do these events on Siesta Key Public Beach is to attract these tourists, especially during the off-season. Because during season, they have no parking to begin with. But off-season, they want to bring more people out to Siesta Key Public Beach, so they do these events. But these events are costly, and they can't be done without community support, which is why I'm here. There's one event in particular that's close to my heart, and that's the Siesta Key Crystal Classic Master Sand Sculpting Competition. Siesta Key has always had sand sculpting, and it's normally very small. It's a one-day event in April, and the sand sculptures are usually very beautiful and about that tall. In 2010, a local resident named Brian Wigglesworth decided to propose master sand sculpting for Siesta Key Public Beach. Master sand sculpting are huge. These sculptures could be up to 12 feet tall and up to 35 feet wide. And as president of the local resident organization, I have to tell you my first reaction of this event was, what are you doing to our beach? Because I was nervous. Seeing these big sculptures, all I kept thinking was mounds of gluey gunk and maybe debris. And we're very protective of our beach, so I wasn't convinced. But they convinced us to at least let them try it the first year and not to fight their permitting. So we did. And I went out that year, 2010, the first day, and I saw how they started to do it. They take mounds of sand using water, and they pound it into these wooden forms, sometimes cylinder and sometimes square. And they're pretty high, as I meant, up to even 10 feet tall. And the next day I went, because I wanted to monitor what was going on. And I saw that there were 12 teams of sculptors from all over the world. We got to meet some of them, some from Belgium and Italy, and some from California. And they were so focused and so dedicated, using their sculpting tools and shovels to create forms, but it still was just very, very plain. On day 3 when I went, I started to see an art form emerge, and I was already getting a little impressed. There was crowds of people going to see it. And I started to not be so stern on not having this event on Siesta Key. On day 4, which is the Day of Judgment, I was driving through Siesta Key Village, and I saw every restaurant full, people walking around. And when I got to the beach, it was packed. I mean, there were 20 people waiting for one line to get in, and then there was crowds of people everywhere and inside. And when you got to see the forms and the art that emerged from that, my jaw just dropped. So not only did they convince me and our organization that this is a great event, but year 2, last year, I became part of the fundraising committee. And this year, I even volunteered to be co-chair of the fundraising committee, because I really thought this was a fantastic event for our community. Pass it out? Yes. I'm passing out this year's brochure. And on the front of the brochure, you'll see the #1 winner of last year's event. You'll see how tall it is and how detailed it is. It's fantastic. But I have to admit, my favorite, when you get this brochure, is on the back. There's this fish. And if you were there and you were looking inside the fish's mouth, it was hollowed out. And inside the fish was this sand sculpture of a human skeleton. I spent hours looking in there, and I couldn't figure out, how did they get not only this big sculpture in such detail, but how did they hollow it out and then create that sculpture inside? That was my favorite, I have to admit. And the key is, the cost of doing this event is expensive. Not only do we have to have like fences and staff, we have to pay for permitting, both local and state. We also have to pay for security. It's a 4-day event, so we need to make sure that someone doesn't cause mischief. So there's a lot of expenses, including that we do reimburse the sculptors who come in. So we reimburse their airfare, we have to give prize money, so we have to raise money. The benefit to the community is fantastic. Over the last 2 years, the Visitors and Conventions Bureau, now called Visit Sarasota, has advised us that the local economy got $2 million from this 4-day event. And on top of that, the hotels were benefiting, the restaurants. And the proceeds from this event also benefit Mote Marine Sea Turtle Conservation Foundation. It became their biggest fundraiser. They raised $120,000 over 2 years. So they obviously support this event tremendously. And for sponsors, inside you'll see the sponsor lists. It benefits the businesses because this year alone, we expect 50,000 attendees over a 4-day period. And so when you are a sponsor, depending on what level you are, if you happen to have a banner, especially the higher the level, the closer to the more the sculptures you will be, you get a lot of exposure. You also get a lot of exposure through the website, press releases, and ads in the event guide. Some people take home because they use it as their souvenir. So not only does it benefit the community by bringing in business, it benefits you as a business owner or as an individual if you want to promote something that you're trying to sell, or if you know someone who can benefit from this kind of exposure. I would appreciate you passing this brochure along. If you haven't seen this event, I encourage you have to go. Not only to support the local community, you will be amazed of the sculptures. This is an art form. It supports Sarasota, and you would be floored. So I thank you in advance for supporting this, and I hope to see you there this year in November. Thank you.
Well, I can have a minute.